So parasites. We've been seeing more and more in the news about these lately, which is good. These are coming to light. It's always funny because when people talk about ivermectin as a miracle drug, and they took ivermectin and then they felt amazing, better, it fixed all these things. Okay, all it did was kill the parasites, allow some of those nutrients to get back in the body, and then heal and regenerate the body. Um, this is one of those things we've been working on this for 20 years. We The best way to get rid of them. So first of all, there that we know of a little over 300,000 different varieties of parasites. And so some of them are visible, some of them are not. So people think tapeworm, they think normal worms and things like that. Those are definitely parasites, but there's hundreds of thousands of other kinds. So kind of keep that in mind. Um, the best way to kill them is actually with a coffee enema. So the way the coffee enemas work is you put the different herbs in there, and those different herbs have oils in them. Like think like tea. Like you make tea and you take the herbs out and you drink the tea, and you can taste it, and you can see the color change. That whole deal. Those are the oils and the chemicals that came out, the nutrients that came out in the water. Same idea with coffee enemas, and then you put it directly in the colon. What ends up happening is that the colon's job is to suck all the fluid out of your fecal matter so you don't dehydrate and die when you have bowel movement. So it sucks it out through the colon through what's called the hepatic portal system, taking that up to the liver, dropping everything in the liver. Liver processes it, it cleans it, pushes the water back in the system, and then everything else kind of comes back down from the liver to the intestines. So you'll be able to clean lower colon parasitic stuff, obviously, liver parasites, and then anything in the intestinal all the way down. So it's the cheapest, fastest, easiest way. There are a couple other factors that you can bring into it. There's, I like using allicin, which is basically bear garlic, hydrochloric acid in tabs, and we have a product on the website and at the office called RFA, which kills yeast and parasites as well. So the big question is, all right, so how prevalent is this? It's massive. Almost everybody we've ever tested in 20 years has got them. And when we start doing anything, whether we're doing dementia, whether we're doing IBS or celiac or just general health, the primary thing we do is kill the parasites. We do what's called a kill and refill. We kill the parasites, we kill the yeast overgrowth, and then we restore the body with B vitamins and probiotics and things to get the gut flora back on. So the question I always get is, well, where do these things come from? The primary thing we see is anyone who has animals in their house, dogs, cats, whatever, you're going to have a parasitic infection. But the way the body kind of shuts down or breaks down to the point where we start getting these infections is when we start looking at the stress levels. So we have higher stress, and as soon as your stress comes up, your body shifts neurologically from normal parasympathetic into sympathetic, which is fight flight. When that happens, you don't produce as much hydrochloric acid. This is also where you start getting GERD. It's a different conversation, but your body produces lactic-butyric acid instead of hydrochloric. But anyway, the hydrochloric acid is there to kill parasites and parasitic eggs and viruses and bacteria and stuff like that. So when you don't produce enough hydrochloric acid, you leave yourself open to getting infected. And so once you're infected, those things go kind of all over the body. They'll produce all sorts of different issues. The most common ones we see are constipation that goes to loose stools. So sometimes you'll be a little slow a couple of days, and you'll like have loose stools for a couple of days. You walk into rooms, forget why you go in there. You lose words in the middle of your sentences. You just feel overall a little fatigued. You're running on 70% of your energy, and then everything starts kind of falling apart after that. So we've seen major system issues. So a lot of there's research now coming out that using antiparasitics, people are repairing type 1 diabetics, which makes a lot of sense because if you're a type 1 diabetic from birth, cool, that would make sense. If you're at 8, 10, 12, 13, and you become a type 1 diabetic, so your pancreas was working for 10 to 13 years and then it just stopped, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, you've got vaccine injuries and you've got, other chemical toxicities, but parasitic function is definitely one of those things we want to look at. And so, whenever we're doing dementia or diabetes work, we're trying to reverse those. Again, we've got to clear the parasites out first. So that's usually where you're getting them, is because you're stressed, and then you're eating anything, pretty much anything. Any restaurant food is going to be, have a high chance for parasitic function. Most of the food you're eating at the home, including all your organic stuff. You guys need to wash all of your fruits and vegetables that you're bringing in a good vegetable wash. You don't have to buy the really fancy ones. We use thieves oil and we use vinegar, and that usually knocks everything out of it. If you guys are looking for a cleaner, easier way to deal with all your parasites, get a hold of us and I'll walk you through the whole process. Pillarsofwellness.com, or you just reply to the post. But the big thing that we see is that people continually get reinfected. So what will end up happening is that you'll clear out your parasites and, oh, I feel a lot better now. And then as you go along, because you didn't change the underlying stress function, you're still open. So you do all the stuff, you get rid of the parasites, and then 3 weeks, a month, 2 months later, you reinfect yourself. And so there's a couple of different things that you can do. You can either maintain it. This is what I do. I take HCl every day. I do multiple coffee enemas a week, and that type of thing, just to keep everything functioning where it's supposed to be. You can do that, or you can radically reduce your stress, which is something you should do anyway. But those are the two things that we really kind of try to help people with, is getting on a maintenance schedule so that you don't reinfect yourself, but you maintain all that positive function. And we try to reduce the stress, just give you kind of a buffer zone. But the big things on that are going to be getting these things out. So here's the other problem we get into with like ivermectin and fenbendazole, and even antiparasitics, like people take, like wormwood's phenomenal. We use a lot of wormwood in the office. If you don't have a path out for the parasites that are dying, you're going to have detox reactions. Like people feel like they have the flu. People don't get everything all the way out. They get nauseous. They get a variety of different issues, sleep issues, things like that. If you don't feed the liver and the kidneys and give the body a way to get these things out, to actually detox these things out, we have a lot of issues kind of all over. So when these things die, oftentimes they'll like explode, and they release all sorts of toxins into the body, and so it makes people feel really sick. So detox reactions are pretty common doing these things if you don't do them right, and so you've got to kind of watch out for those. But it's a really, really important thing for people to start recognizing that they've got these parasitic infections that are causing a whole host of other issues. You look at a lot of times, hey, the drugs that people are getting sold just cover up symptoms. A lot of those symptoms you're covering up are parasitic symptoms. And so if you'll just kill the parasites, you'll be much better off. This goes back to the whole thing of, well, why don't we hear more about this? The medical industry wants you sick so they can sell you drugs to cover up the symptoms of your illness. And the sicker you are, the happier they are. Again, medical system is the government system, the NIH, the CDC, the FDA, and the WHO, not your doctors. And so that's kind of where we're seeing a lot of the play in, is the sicker you are, the more drugs they can sell. So they don't really talk about parasitic function very much. But when you get people in and you clear their parasites, and they're like, oh my gosh, my energy's back up, my brain fog's gone, my depression's calmed down, like my joints don't hurt anymore, like I can actually get deep restful sleep, like everything starts getting better. And because the parasites come in, they steal your nutrients, the things that your body's designed to have, that needs to have to run, and then they use their excrement and the chemicals they use to bore holes in you and make little houses for themselves and make biofilms are also toxic to you. So they're stealing your nutrients, they're producing their excrement, and everything is toxic to you, inflammatory to the brain and to the gut. And so you have all these symptoms: ulcerative colitis, celiac, IBS, constipation, loose stools, gas. So all sorts of things. The other problem is that as the parasites are in, they end up, one, making the environment bad for your good bacteria. Two, they eat and they kill them. And so as your good bacteria comes down, the nutrients your body is able to put together and create also go down. So you've got to replenish the gut when that happens. Now, here's the other problem. As your probiotic comes down, there's a void in the gut. And so what ends up happening is that your body, the yeast that's naturally supposed to be in your intestines, in your gut, overgrows. And sometimes we have too much yeast. And sometimes we'll see it in the skin as like acne issues or rash issues or toenail fungus. There's all sorts of things we see it as. You can even see it vaginally as yeast infections there. But that's one of those big things that we start to see is the what we call gut dysbiosis, or the flora of the gut, the life of the gut is not where it's supposed to be. And so that's a major issue that we see. So if you guys have not done any anti-parasitic cleanses, if you guys have not looked into that, I would highly recommend that you look into that. You know, what the funny thing is that when I did it, when I did my first one, I'd always had issues running because I always felt like my lungs were thick and heavy and I just couldn't breathe right. After I killed all the parasites, it was super easy. It was a lot easier to run. Remember, your gut and your lungs are sister organs, which is also why when you're constipated, your breath smells like crap, literally. So if you guys haven't done those type of things, if you guys have been wondering about that type of stuff, parasitic function is 100% a real deal. You definitely need to get rid of it. If you're like, I wonder if I have it, just the chances are you do. So just start kind of working on cleaning those things out. Like I always said, you know, doing it properly is a whole lot better for you than just haphazardly doing it. But you guys are going to probably need to do something for maintenance for a while. So if you guys have any questions, hit us up, questions@chalmerswellness.com. Drop them in the comments or go to pillarsofwellness.com and you guys can get a hold of us and we'll help you walk you through it. All right. You guys have a fabulous day. Thanks for your time.